Good evening and welcome to the Badger Politic. I'm Scott Stearns.
Welcome. My name is Paul Sickle.
How's it going, Paul?
Well, we've reemerged from our super undisclosed location on the south central side of Milwaukee and reemerged on the southeast side of Milwaukee.
Indeed. It's been a couple weeks. I think last time we met that it was the Virginia elections 2 weeks ago, but that feels like ancient history.
Can we just
somehow.
put the pause button on, just erase like last couple weeks since then, and just like savor that Virginia victory again?
Yeah, that was a good night. I enjoyed that.
I mean, seriously, like what happened since then that's like even worth talking about?
I don't know. Roy Moore, teenagers. Charlie Rose got fired this morning from CBS.
That's true.
PBS. I mean, it's just
you're skipping the agenda, man. All right. Well, the president went.
You're just asking me what's going on.
I'm just
going off of the top of my head.
The president went to Asia.
He did, even that feels like ancient history.
And he avoided getting us into a war.
He did.
So then his
to his credit, I suppose. Does that deserve like a round of applause?
Look at 538. His approval ratings are up dramatically. They're up from 36% to 39%.
Well, when you start from like nothing, I mean, you have nowhere to go but up, right?
Like I said, it went from 36 to 39%. Take it for what you will.
That's a good bump.
He's getting the "I didn't cause a global human catastrophe" bump.
Yeah.
So, he accomplished that. Well done, Donald J. Trump.
Right.
Well done. Before we go too much further, I want to mention, I think the Washington Post is good, or maybe it's the LA Times, a good feature on 25 North Koreans who've escaped since Kim Jong-un went in.
Uh-huh.
And just their personal testimonies and like what life is like there.
Yeah.
And it's actually fascinating. I only got through like 3 of them when I was reading it, and then I fell asleep last night. But not because of that, because I was like really tired.
Right.
I was trying to like get my.
So you weren't bored. It was.
I was trying to get my newborn to sleep.
Well, that happens.
And then I lay her down, and I'm like, I got to read myself to sleep. I mean, each one of them is like several paragraphs long, and it was fascinating. Another top podcast. I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot with North Korea. I think the whole country is fascinating.
So the Republicans looked like they were about to lose the Alabama Senate seat because their guy might be a pedophile.
He's that all this has come out again. It feels like ancient history, but we haven't met in 2 weeks, and this has transpired since then. So he reportedly made attempts at dating 14-year-old girl. Called her at her school.
Apparently, the mall used to have him on the watch.
Right, he was on the do not let in list.
And he was already like a prominent figure.
Yes,
like well-respected figure.
Yeah, and he dated other teenagers. When he was an assistant district attorney. And this was not a disqualifying thing, apparently, because the President of the United States came out today and said, well, I'd rather have him in than a liberal Democrat. So,
just like the governor.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have that.
And so that would bring him to 49 seats in the...
If he would lose. If he would lose, then the Democrats would have 49, the Republicans would have 51.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the best antidote for that is to scandalize a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he resigns, and maybe it triggers off a wave of resignation. So then we get Al Franken.
There was a report out that during the USO tour, I think it was in 2006, before he was a senator, he was making moves on this woman.
It was a right-wing talk show host.
Yeah.
The truth is, though, there is a photograph that is inappropriate.
I mean,
whether he's actually
makes the photograph. The photograph makes it look like he's groping her. He was making like just shadow hands over her.
Yeah, but
it's not appropriate. It was definitely bad taste. And now it's being used against him, and that's just an example of not being smart.
Yeah. I think the most convincing thing I read was the article it was a female writer. I'm trying to remember what her name was, but in the Washington Post, who wrote that she writes about she's a feminist, writes about rape culture, and she doesn't want Franken to resign.
Yeah,
and her argument is that if you look at it, what's going to happen is people can, like progressives, can say we want him to resign when it's not quite clear that this really rises to anywhere near the level of the latest things we've been talking about. And you have a Democratic governor that would reappoint, but eventually you're going to run into state, like, somebody's going to have done something wrong, and you'll have a Republican.
Well, in what universe is it just that Al Franken would resign and a guy like Roy Moore could get elected in a few weeks?
Well, and that's the whole thing. The Democrats are the only people that care. Because the majority of their voters are women, which makes sense. We should care.
Of course.
However, you can get to a point where, like, you have nobody left on your team. And for, like, something that's offensive versus something that's absolutely abusive.
The thing is, all the people in the Senate and elsewhere can call out Roy Moore today and say, like, yes, I believe he should recuse himself from the election. But the day that he gets elected, if he gets elected, we don't know what's going to happen in a few weeks. He could lose, he could win. If he wins, all this stuff about, like, oh, we're against him, that goes out the window just like it went out the window with Trump.
Right.
I mean, we all remember not more than a year and a half ago when everybody, in the GOP quote unquote establishment was saying, like, this guy, is not qualified. He's not. He's everything he's done is inappropriate. Well, the day he got elected, it's like, okay, it's like
if I can send a parting shot on this, I would argue that the more that Alabama voters focus on Moore's the accusations against Moore, it's more likely, I'm trying to avoid saying it again, that he'll win because people are going to see it as a politically motivated attacks at this point. I would argue that the Jones camp, I would actually bring up my populist policies that would actually help working families of Alabama. And then contrast that against all the scandal around Moore.
Well, at some point,
I think that gives him a chance.
At some point, you have to.
But I think the more you focus on Moore right now in Alabama, the more likely Moore gets elected. Wow,
I don't think you're wrong.
There's a homonym.
Yes, because the other thing is because of Trump coming out and saying, like, well, he denied all the allegations and he denied them, unequivocally, or however he put it. That is going to boost his support amongst people that are on the fence. So then you have to give people a reason to vote for you. So, you can cast all doubt and everything like that about all the scandals surrounding him, but at some point you have to give people a reason to vote for you. So in the closing weeks, you're absolutely right. I think he needs to.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see a polls where Moore is caught back up.
Oh, I think I already saw one today.
Okay, yeah,
and it was like within a point of one.
Jones was like getting to be a gaping lead.
Yeah, I forget. It was on Taking Goddard.
Speaking of catching up, regardless of how weak our governor may look when he runs for president or ran for president, and regardless of how dynamic all these wonderfully exciting Democrats may be, the best case scenario for Wisconsin governor is a very close race.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And that's happening. We have someone to add a little perspective. We got our northeastern Wisconsin correspondent. We decided to diversify us a little bit by bringing in another white man.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, guys.
So, hi.
Hi.
Well, introduce the man.
Yeah, this is Tony Spencer.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, Tony?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Welcome to the Badger Politic.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're down here in the good city of Milwaukee visiting us for a few days. So.
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
Yeah. There is this Wisconsin governor's race going on, and we've got since the last podcast, Malin Mitchell has announced he is the head of the Wisconsin firefighters, and he ran for lieutenant governor. What was it? That was a recall election.
And he actually got a higher percentage of the vote in the recall than Tom Barrett did.
So,
for governor.
Whatever that says for him. So,
yeah, I don't know if it says much, but it does say
interesting, though.
That it says he actually did win a primary too.
Yeah.
So it says that he's got statewide name recognition.
Right. So he's we add him into the mix. I think there's about 16 candidates at this point that have either announced or have filed the paperwork to run for governor. So there's quite the pool. So
I guess I want to throw in on this because I'm very worried about this race, of course.
Yeah.
Didn't the GOP have almost the exact same situation for the presidential election in 2015
for the presidency?
Look who we wound up with. Now,
True.
In a way,
they did win, though.
In a way, I was just going to get that. In a way, having 16 potential gubernatorial candidates on the left could mean that the left wins.
Yeah.
However, if we get the Wisconsin liberal, progressive, whatever, leftist equivalent of Trump, is that really going to be better?
That is a valid question.
Yes.
I
would answer it unequivocally. But I get what you're saying, but come on, I don't think there's any sort of. First of all, if there is that person, it'd probably be Brett Halsey, and he's not going to win.
Who?
Right.
Brett Halsey is he's known for I don't know. I don't want to even get all into it, but he's known for being a little bit interesting.
Well, his name recognition is obviously so low that nobody really knows what he's about.
Like I said, who could be the
right.
the Trump equivalent in the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
I mean hair-wise, it'd be Matt Flynn.
Well, I think he does have nice hair. I would absolutely agree with that. It just seems that at this point in the race, granted it's early, we're a little under a year out.
I don't think there is a Democratic equivalent of Trump.
Well,
I think that's the thing. That's why it doesn't. I like that you raised the question, but it doesn't bother me because I don't think that happens.
It's a valid discussion point though because of it's rare where you have so many cooks in the kitchen.
Should we make a reality show of this? Like,
Maybe.
Is that what we're doing? Is this like the Bachelor Wisconsin Governor's Edition? Like,
we could.
I like it.
I feel like that's kind of what it was for the GOP.
Yeah.
Leading into 16, with like everyone had their hat in the race.
Yeah.
It's like, there's like, okay, I know there was more candidates than Hillary and Bernie in the Democratic primary, but only like one or two, right? Like,
it was. The serious. Bernie and Hillary were the only serious candidates.
Well, and I actually said how many of those GOP candidates in like 15, 16 were actually serious? Like Walker thought he was.
Right. Well, he had the Koch brothers behind him, so
right.
he should have been.
A lot of people thought he was. Right.
Yeah.
He had money behind him, but it didn't translate into votes.
He didn't have an appeal outside the state,
right?
Or in it,
right?
Really? Yeah. His numbers here weren't that good.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and actually, his approval went down in Wisconsin after he ran for governor because people just thought he was using us as a stepping stone.
Oh, honestly, dude,
advance his career.
Peg that.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, 3 years ago? Yeah. Like after he won in 14, like, I knew it.
The guy's ambitious.
He was going to announce for president. Like,
and he probably will again
on election night.
Yeah.
He was like, "No, guys, I'm staying here."
Right. Well, I wouldn't put it past him if he manages to pull out a victory next year in Wisconsin,
a third term,
to win his next term. I wouldn't put it past him to try to primary Trump if Trump is still in the toilet in terms of approval ratings. I mean, everybody's talking about John Kasich right now from Ohio, but I wouldn't put it past Walker to say like, hey, I don't like Trump. I didn't endorse him last time. I need to take the Republican Party in the country in another direction.
To endorse him last time.
Yeah.
If Kasich wants to win, he should switch parties.
That's not going to happen.
Well,
honestly, though, if he did, it would work.
Maybe.
It's a weird thing.
But it's not going to happen.
I mean, the one thing is that on choice, he'd have to be.
There's still enough Republicans. There's people are holding on to. People are holding on to Trump in terms of loyalty because he's the president and he has a certain level of power. But there's still the moment Trump is just damaged goods and either impeached or just doesn't win re-election, he's done. He's yesterday's news, and everybody will flock back to whoever fills that vacuum, whether it be a guy like John Kasich or Scott Walker, Paul Ryan, what have you.
Yeah. So back to governor.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on Malin Mitchell, so I mean, he's the recent candidate. What do you think are his chances, Paul?
Well, I'm biased. I've admitted from day one that that's who I think. I don't think any of the rest of them can win.
I think it looks like the front runners right now. I think on paper, if you're kind of treated like sports, it's Millen and Dana Walks. And
Probably
maybe
Evers,
Kathy Weinhaut right in
Evers
there.
and Weinhaut.
Tony Evers.
Oh, Evers, right.
He's got the statewide. He's the only guy in the mix that has run and won statewide.
Actually, I kind of like Evers. From what little I know of him.
I like him too, but he's also one of the most. I mean, as we call him, he's Captain Excitement. I mean,
do we need that?
He is the dry, most boring person you've ever heard talk.
But maybe we need that,
Yeah.
Maybe after everything we're going through.
Right.
I mean, if
Walker was a wild ride.
Okay, so if it's really pollers, maybe he would be the Democratic version of Trump. Instead of being,
Bear in mind that could mean the mirror opposite.
right,
True.
I'm just thinking pollers like different politics, not flamboyant or not even personable or even interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Tony Evers.
Haven't we?
That might be a good thing for the state,
But haven't we
I
had
don't think
leaders
it
like
would
that in the
work.
past?
What?
Who were excellent leaders? Or
I mean, Jim Doyle wasn't bringing down the house when
I
he was
definitely
governor.
not excited about Doyle. I was a little excited.
Right.
I knew he was not gonna run again.
But he ran for 2
happened.
terms and got reelected. Now
You guys are killing me here.
I'm not reinforcing your point. Is what I'm saying. What you're saying.
No, you're not. And not only that, but
I didn't know. What
we had a boring as hell candidate in Mary Burke, and even more boring candidate in Tom fucking Barrett.
Yeah.
Well,
in
2010, he did stop that mugging. Person. That was kind of exciting. That was
right. That was
2009,
helped him, right?
But I mean, that was the thing people were talking about in 2010.
Yeah, because people like you and
exciting.
the three of us, we care about that shit. Nobody is
I didn't know who either of those two dudes were in 2010. I knew that they were both from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And they're both running for an open governor's seat.
Yeah.
And that's it. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican. And honestly,
sadly,
I didn't know anything about Walker.
Yeah.
Other than he was the Republican.
Sure.
I wish I would have.
What do you?
I Tom Barrett. I remember using that as a little bit of a selling point, given my extremely limited knowledge. Barrett actually, he himself as the mayor, stepped in personally and stopped
the volume.
Yeah.
For the mayor of a major city.
Yeah.
To actually personally put himself in danger to stop a citizen.
That's a good thing.
Right, and that should say something about his character. So
Sure.
you say,
He actually
he's boring
wasn't.
as a candidate, but I mean, from what I knew of the story,
Yeah.
I didn't know that much, but from what I heard of it, just the kind of cliff notes, to me, I guess as a basic voter who knew almost nothing of that race, that was the kind of point that stood out.
I think so.
It said
I would
something about his
argue
character.
that you followed it probably closer than 90% of the population, though.
Perhaps, but I mean
Who
that was
got
obviously
to the voting booth, saw the two names, and picked one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you did.
But that was,
You
I mean,
were
that was
more
definitely
knowledgeable.
that was definitely something that I mean that was not only just local news. I mean that was nationwide news for a limited span.
Well, I mean, the mayor of a major city.
Sure.
Steps out.
Yeah.
If we can call
exactly.
Milwaukee a major city,
I think so. I think
Yeah, it wasn't. But I mean, now to just pour a little bit of cold water, it was actually in West Dallas. It wasn't in the city of Milwaukee.
But
it was.
it's in the
it wasn't a
metro
mugging. It
area.
was a domestic violence issue.
Okay.
And he stepped
It was a violent dispute that
And then he got
escalated.
I mean,
That's-
it was
thank you,
courage.
that's my point.
It was courageous of him to get involved, and the fact that he got his wrist broken is a.
Yeah, so he's got a battle scar.
Yeah.
But here's the weird thing: rhetorically, he couldn't speak about that for shit.
Yeah.
He couldn't
Well-
inspire people around that for shit.
Right.
Okay, he's a tough guy who's moral
So
courage.
is that
but
your point then about his boringness? Is that even though he had this really exciting thing, he didn't even know how to turn that in his own favor?
Translated
Absolutely.
into
Like, hey
victory.
guys, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Check it out. There's
Absolutely.
a newsworthy thing I've done that states to my awesomeness. Oh, what? Yeah.
Right.
Don't worry about that, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm cool.
Yeah, I mean,
No, but I think in
personally-
politics that matters.
I mean, personally, I like Tom Barrett. I think he's done a lot of good for the city. He's not perfect, and nor is any politician perfect. But I think he's done a lot of good things for Milwaukee during his time here. Now, whether or not he was a good enough salesman to get elected governor. Obviously, he wasn't because he fell short. Now, of the candidates in this race, so Malin Mitchell, obviously, as you say,
I think no one can sell it. I mean, maybe Walks.
Like I said, I think Walks and Mitchell are the two, top candidates.
I always want to believe in Vineout, but it's just like
I do too. I love her spirit.
Right.
I really do. Like she tries so hard, and she's a great speaker.
She does.
You know, and she's always trying. I mean, she's always running for governor.
Yeah.
Like she's always running.
Yeah.
You know, and like actually during the recall, when I was watching the debates, I actually really liked her.
I did too.
I think she even got my vote. I'm not sure.
She's
years ago. I don't know.
I mean, she's definitely not the polished candidate, but there's nothing wrong with that.
But also,
she's authentic.
But also look at her region. That's like western, kind of more ruralish Wisconsin. I think, right? Yeah. That's. I mean, of course she's not polished. Like but she represents her people.
Exactly.
And she would represent that people. And honestly, like maybe we need some more of that in Madison. We don't need a big city.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
we do need.
I know a lot of like more anti-establishment progressives that are kind of excited about Mike McCabe. And I'm mentioning this because this is one of the few candidates I am aware of in this running. What do you guys think of it?
He's done a lot of good work with the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Obviously, like clean government type of stuff. He's kind of been under the radar. Like he announced, and you really haven't heard a lot from him recently, but. It's early days. Obviously, like we're going into the holiday season. This thing is really going to kick into high gear after the new year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're still kind of assessing the candidacy or who all the candidates are going to be. Mitchell just announced last week. So
I mean, has everyone even announced?
That's
okay. What's the deadline? Actually, I don't even know anymore. What's the deadline?
You can. I mean, the primary isn't until
the deadline's at the end of May.
Yeah, I mean, the primary is like late summer, right?
Yeah, it's an
August primary for. Oh, it's August primary for the government?
Yeah, it's a late primary.
So most of this race is going to be primary.
Yeah,
most of this is going to be.
Yeah.
See, now that changes things too.
Right.
I mean, now I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure
over the months, some of these candidates will probably drop.
Sure.
Like by the time,
because the money will dry up, and
because it's November. I mean, we're like 9 months or 10 months out.
Yeah,
we're 11 months.
We're 11 months
from election day. From
primary
8 months out.
Yeah, we're like 8 or whatever. We're like a baby's worth out.
Right.
There you go.
I mean, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of these candidates will drop out. Mm-hmm. I mean, either they won't be funded enough, or they just won't have that much support. And I mean, so the field will narrow.
Absolutely.
By August.
I think
it'll still probably be a pretty wide field by August.
Yeah, I mean, if you figure if it gets cut in half, it's still pretty sizable number of people.
And also, let's bear in mind, this is a midterm. Mm-hmm. Now, Trump winning last year may have brought some more attention to our nation about voting. However, whereas the right always votes. Yes. Every time.
Yeah, in the midterms.
Every time.
Yep.
Right. Every time, man.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The left almost never does. And also, speaking of the primary, I'm sure anyone listening to this is aware, but I just want to pose this as rhetorical. What's a primary? What? There's an election in August?
There's an election. There's like a pregame?
Right?
A preseason?
Yeah, it's a preseason. Yes, exactly. That's it. It's a preseason, man. It's like, what?
Yeah. Well, I think it's been an educational process for a lot of people that have come of voting age during the Trump era. Like a lot of people are realizing like what the stakes are.
I would hope so.
I would agree.
Because I mean, think about it too. Walker first got in on a midterm.
Mm-hmm.
Feingold got out on a midterm.
Yep.
Right.
Sadly, that was the same one.
Yeah.
But I mean, because then in 12, we got Baldwin with Obama, but now we're back in the midterm.
Yeah,
and now
exactly.
she's up.
Now Baldwin, right?
She's up,
and we lost Feingold with Hillary. Yeah, but that's when everyone was going to the polls.
Yeah.
And now we're coming into a midterm again, and midterms do tend to go red, and we're a very red state.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you get down to the legislature, like the actual numbers, we're a very red state.
Well, and the stakes are very high when you're talking about. I mean, it's 2018. I mean, 2020 is right around the corner. Then, given what happened in 2010, what happened in 2010 is the Republicans took over a lot of state legislatures, which means they got to redraw a lot of districts.
Right.
And you looked at what happened here in Wisconsin, redrawing
gerrymandering,
the gerrymandering, to be specific.
Right.
And the same thing is going to happen this time around if people do not come out and vote next year
because if you get the governorship, then you can prevent that gerrymandering.
Exactly.
Because
you need some level of power. I mean, back in the 90s, the Democrats controlled. I believe they had the state senate back when Chuck Chvala was the head of that, and the Republicans, I think, controlled the assembly for a time, and then you had Tommy Thompson as governor. So at least there was some balance of power. You had some check so that they couldn't just ram through redistricting. They control everything.
Yeah, both levels of legislature
and the Supreme Court. So it's
now correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe learning in school. It was supposed to be a system of checks and balances. Where the hell is that?
When you write the rules, that limits your ability to counteract all that.
So back to who can win.
Yeah,
I think that I think that's the most important factor, and I think that the other thing is obviously if you get a good chance to win. I mean, hopefully you pull the legislature with you.
Yeah,
I do feel that Trump being in the White House will help Democrats in a midterm election.
It's a motivating factor.
It is.
Yeah.
Fear is a powerful force.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped them in Wisconsin in 2002 and in 2006.
Right.
That's how Doyle got elected.
Bush.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, when Ronald Reagan was in his first term, when I was a little kid, the first election I remember hearing my mom happy about was Tony Earl got elected over whatever the asshole Republican was that was the Kohler guy.
The
Kohler
slightly before my time.
In 1982. I mean, I was before my time.
Actually, yes,
too.
just
it was
a few
before
years.
all our times, but I was a wee little guy.
Yeah, you were exposed to it at the dinner table.
And it was like, but looking back, that was a reaction to the Democrats were motivated in 82.
Yeah.
Because they were pissed off that Reagan was in.
Sure.
And Wisconsin was a state that was more skeptical of Reagan than, I mean, it still voted for Reagan, but not by the margins it did, like that other states did. Especially the first one.
Yeah.
And so, and then immediately, I mean, it voted for Dukakis.
Yeah.
I mean, so Wisconsin's drifted way more red since then. However, Trump being in,
maybe not.
I think we're.
he won Wisconsin just by a hair.
Yeah,
And
20,000
Reagan won
votes
it by a lot.
That's not a lot.
No.
For 4.5 million people, so 2-ish million voters.
I mean, the turnout was
It was
what?
2.9 million.
2.9 million people, 20,000 votes.
There's actually
fair.
the state of Wisconsin now has 5.7 million people.
Oh, yeah, I knew it was 4.9. Oh, wow, that's bigger.
But the voting age population.
Yeah. Well, you got to take out
4.3 million.
shave that
or
down.
4.4
Yeah,
million.
and permanent residents and
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like you get, like if you're lucky, 3 million, but really more like 2.
right.
In a presidential year.
Yes.
In a presidential year.
Exactly.
And realistically, even in Walker's best years, he's a 52 to 53 percenter.
Yeah.
So
He's not running away with it.
None of the polling shows.
I mean, he won the recall by 7 points. I know that.
He got to 53. That was his best year.
Yeah.
But
52.9, I think, and not quite 50. It
was 7 points. I know because actually I called it and I thought I was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
No, he won
I really did. I'm like, come on, because I'll give you Walker 7 points. Go ahead. I dare you.
The thing with Walker,
and then it comes out, and it's like Walker and 7 points. I'm like, why the hell?
But the thing with the Walker recall was that, I mean, you had people voting for Walker that they may not have agreed with it necessarily, but they disagreed with the recall because it was like, there are some people that are just like, you know what, he was
elected,
got in,
so
let him have his time of day, and then we'll judge him later.
And then Burke in a Republican year actually did better than Barrett. What Burke got him under 52.
Yeah.
Could any have had to do with historical predominance? Because I have noticed that whenever there's like a potential historical precedent to be set, attention is paid more. So Burke could have been possibly the first female governor.
Oh, that probably helped.
There is that.
Dude,
So that would bode well for either Vinehart or Mitchell.
Yeah. Exactly. Because that's honestly, that's a good point, Paul. Because look at 2008 presidential.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We either had our first black president or the first woman.
Yeah.
Either way,
It's a
breaking a precedent.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
And one of those two won.
Yeah.
So I guess if we get down to a primary that's primarily like that, it's really headrunners are Mitchell
or Vinehout.
Yeah. We might actually be able to get it in because, I mean, like, attention just tends to get paid. What's like, dude, we could change stuff.
Right.
Even if it doesn't work out.
This could be an historic election.
Yeah.
That's worth a few news cycles.
Yeah, I think they'll be one of
honestly, like, even if you're Joe Schmo voter and you're never going to personally get on the history books,
right?
You can't affect it. You can affect what your grandkids or grandkids.
Do you really think it would come down to 2 candidates, though?
I said theoretically.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I think it'll come down to 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Probably, but of those 3 or 4, there's probably going to be favorites pegged.
Like a couple dominant ones.
Hey, what happened to Falk, by the way? I remember Falk being really big in the recall primaries.
Yeah, well, Kathleen Falk, like the former Dane County exec.
Actor.
Yeah.
I only really heard of her during that couple of months.
Mr. Radford, the Attorney General's spot.
She couldn't connect.
Yeah.
I mean, she really couldn't connect.
I don't know. I knew a lot of people that were all for her.
Yeah.
Well, the Labor
she has some enthusiasm behind her.
Completely behind her. And she probably would have been a better candidate against Walker.
Yeah.
In the recall.
That's what I was hearing a lot of.
Our best chance.
I was hearing a lot of that, actually. That
They ran a smear campaign against during the primary, thanks Tom Barrett. And it really, that she had somehow signed some pledge that she wouldn't do a budget without fixing Act 10.
Right.
And she actually didn't sign the pledge, but they created this whole thing that they did, and like they got right-wing radio on Barrett's side for it.
Okay.
Yeah, what a nightmare that was.
Right.
Hopefully we won't have those problems.
Yeah.
This time.
I'm actually interested to see how this goes, though, especially given my original reflection there. And honestly, that just spurred me when I realized, when you guys told me how many potential Democrats are running.
It's quite the pool.
Because I was going through a hard time like during that presidential season, and I was going to the doctor a lot. The new Fox News was always on.
Yeah.
And so I was seeing there, and I remember looking up on the screen, on the TV screen, and seeing just 2 rows full of people's faces, and it's like, these people are running for the Republican primary. And that wasn't even all of them.
It was the clown car.
Yeah,
Republican clown car.
And now we got what I'm seeing. It's like you said that, and it just dawned on me.
Yeah,
we kind of got the same thing going on in this state.
Kind of.
Also, I've always seen this state as to be like a little microcosm. Of the nation.
Absolutely.
I think
I have seen that. Yeah.
There's a lot of candidates running, but I think it will whittle down as we get into spring and summer. And the other thing is that the last couple times that Walker has run, he's had basically an anointed candidate. Last time Mary Burke, the time before, and the time before that was Tom Barrett. Right. So this is really, I think, the first time when there's been a serious primary.
Race. Yeah.
And I think that also translates into a lot of press coverage, a lot of free media.
There's a lot of hunger.
Exactly.
It will be
as much as the Democrats will spend all their money beating each other up, they'll also spend their money building their name up.
Right.
Whoever wins will look like a champion. The one thing we'll be bringing in outside money in for the to fill in the gap, because right after the primary, the Walker strategy I know is to come in and put a bunch of money out, assuming the Democrats broke.
Yeah,
defining the Democrat,
of course.
Which in all honesty, that's what the Baldwin people did against Thompson after they had a
solid
really
strategy,
rough campaign, and so hopefully the outside groups are ready for that one.
Yeah.
So anyway. This was a really good podcast.
Yeah, I think it's a good discussion.
Yeah, so I enjoyed my voice box. Enjoyed having a little bit of relief.
Yeah, fellow Green Bay.
I honestly didn't think I was going to be this active.
Oh no, it was a lot of fun.
Born in the Bay, you know.
Yeah,
you gotta. Yeah. Those people, we all know what we're talking about. I think. I don't know.
Well, let's hope so.
Some of more numbers.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tony.
All right.
And we're signing off. And forward.